They say the devil made him do it. A brutal murder, a courtroom full of skeptics, and a defense no one saw coming. Demonic possession. Tonight, I'm diving into a chilling case of Arnie Johnson, the first person in U.S. history to claim demonic possession as a legal defense for murder.
And while Madison takes us to 1980s Connecticut, I'm taking you back to 1970s Germany. A girl named Annaliese Michel was tormented by what doctors called psychosis, but what priests believed was a battle for her soul. Her exorcisms ended in tragedy and a firestorm of questions that still haunt people today.
Two people, two countries, both claiming they were fighting something no one could see, but everyone feared.
Were they victims of evil or just victims of belief? Okay, and we're back with some scary stuff. So I hope that you are ready and you are tucked into your little teeny tiny bed, all comfy and cozy, because we're going to get into it.
I'm going to start it off.
Let's go.
All right. The devil made me do it. This is the incident of Arnie Johnson, who was 19. This case started in the summer of 1980 in Brookfield, Connecticut. It all started with an 11-year-old boy named David Gillespie. David is Arnie's girlfriend's Debbie little brother, which Debbie at the time was 26.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
A demon was allegedly tormenting David. He claimed a man with big black eyes, a thin face, hooved feet, and jagged teeth was appearing to him and threatening to take his soul. The figure allegedly told David, "Beware." David began having violent outbursts, growling, speaking in deep voices, spoke Latin, and even quoting Bible verses he never learned. David said the demon threatened to steal his soul. The family said David would wake up screaming, covered in scratches and bruises, and swore he was being choked at night. And the family tried priests and psychiatrists, but nothing worked. At one point, he told the family members that the beast had told him a murder was coming. Creepy foreshadowing right there.
Yeah.
Audio and video exist from the exorcism of David, and witnesses swore they saw David levitating off his bed during one exorcism. This was one of the few times Ed Warren ever said he was genuinely afraid. So now enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens were called in and said David was possessed by 43 demons. Multiple priests came to observe. Several claimed strange things happened. One priest was scratched, another one had a crucifix fly off the wall. The demons were giving off sulfur smells and levitating objects. Lorraine said she saw a dark mist materialize near David and heard a non-human voice tell her, "Leave him alone or you will be sorry." They brought in a priest to perform what they call a lesser exorcism. It wasn't officially sanctioned by the Catholic Church, but they did 3 separate rituals to try and drive the demons out. During one intense cleaning, Arnie challenged the demon directly, telling it to enter him instead, and he said, "Take me on, leave him alone, come inside me instead."
Uh, oh.
Everyone said that David immediately went calm, and Arnie started to act strange, and Arnie's possession began. So the Warrens warned him not to provoke the entity again, but Arnie thought he could beat it. Debbie said he started going into trances and staring blankly for hours. He growled like an animal, having fits of rage, and blacked out. He claimed to see the beast and said it was controlling him. Arnie also stated that a dark force made him crash his car into a tree one day. Paranormal experts later said inviting a demon into yourself is one of the most dangerous things a person can do. It is like giving it legal permission to take over. So fast forward to February 16th, 1981. Arnie and Debbie are living together in an apartment owned by Alan Bono, who is 40, Debbie's boss, who was a hot-tempered man who drank way too much. That night, Alan had been drinking. He got into an argument with Debbie and reportedly grabbed one of her younger cousins, Mary. Witnesses there said Arnie's face went blank. He pulled out a 5-inch pocket knife and stabbed Alan Bono repeatedly in the chest and stomach. One stab went all the way through his body.
I'm shaking my head right now.
I know.
I'm in disbelief, and we're 2 minutes into the story.
I know. But it gets crazier. I promise you that.
Okay.
They said Arnie's face and demeanor completely changed, as if something took over. The witnesses said Arnie growled like an animal during the stabbing, that he went off into the woods, confused and disoriented. Arnie later said he saw a demon with hollow eyes just before the murder. Lorraine claimed she predicted the murder was coming and warned police beforehand. So, we're going to jump to Arnie's defense attorney, Martin Minella,
Okay.
made history by announcing he would plead not guilty by reason of demonic possession. He even said he'd subpoena the priest and the Vatican to testify if needed. The Warrens backed it up, the priest backed it up, even David's family backed it up. This was the first U.S. murder trial where the defense attempted to use demonic possession as a legal argument. The judge refused to allow the possession defense, saying it was unscientific and irrelevant. The judge also stated it was unprovable and not legal. Martin told the press, "The courts have dealt with the existence of God. Now they'll have to deal with the existence of the devil."
But I mean, he's got a fair point.
I agree. Like, when I read that about the judge, I was like, fair enough. Nobody has ever heard of this before. So Arnie's legal team shifted strategies and argues self-defense instead. The verdict was guilty of manslaughter and not murder. He was sentenced to 10 to 20 years, but only served 5 years due to good behavior while in prison. Arnie reportedly became a devoted Christian. So Arnie and Debbie got married after his release, and they stayed together until Debbie's passing in 2021. They ended up having 2 children together. Some extra facts that I want to throw in are that the Warrens went on a full press tour claiming they had warned the family this would happen. And I have a video here of Lorraine talking.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this case right from the start?
We were contacted by Father Dennis, who at that time was pastor of St. Joseph's Church in Brookfield, Tony. Mm-hmm. And the call came in, and he spoke about a young boy who he had been trying to help, but recognized it as a case of possession.
So they went on a talk show and talked about it and all that. And the case inspired a book in 1983, The Devil in Connecticut, which was also co-written with the Warrens. And in 2021, it became the main plot for the Conjuring 3 movie, The Devil Made Me Do It. David's brother Carl later sued the Warrens, saying they exploited the family for fame.
This is a side note, and I may even take this out, but Tony Spera is the one who did that interview with Lorraine.
Yes.
Tony Spera is their son-in-law. He is also the one who took Annabelle on tour. And if any of you have listened to our interview with Chris McKinnell, you would know he very much is in it for the fame and the money and Absolutely. The notoriety, and just being able to say that he's a part of that community, that family. I hate that Ed and Lorraine had to get involved, but come on.
True.
We got issues with Tony.
Here is part of the recording of David's exorcism.
You're weak, Giant. Giant loves this boy. Sit up, Charlie. What's the matter? Talk him up to something. He won't get out of it right now, Ma.
So that was part of David's exorcism.
That is so, disturbing to hear.
I know. When I was listening to it, and then I was listening through Lorraine talk about Arnie's case, David's case, and all that, and I was just I got chills. But the deep truth that depends on what you believe, Was Arnie Johnson a man temporarily overtaken by something dark or something evil? Or was he a killer hiding behind a supernatural smokescreen? No matter your conclusion, this case made history because for the first time ever, evil was called to the stand.
Okay, conspiracy. All right.
I'm ready for yours.
So mine is on a girl named Anna. Anna Elizabeth Michel, nicknamed Annaliese, was born on September 21st, 1952 in West Germany. She was raised in a devout Roman Catholic household and was reported to be very well-mannered and just a happy girl during her childhood years. She was a straight-A student with a kind heart who was devout to her religion. In the year 1968, at 16 years old, she had what was described as like an odd episode at school where she blacked out and appeared to be in a trance-like state. Later that night at home, she had difficulty breathing and uncontrollable urination, which is not an issue that she'd had previously.
Okay.
A year later, in 1969, she had another blackout episode at school, which was then followed by temporary paralysis. The following year, the third episode happened, and after the fourth, she was finally diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy with psychosis association, and she was given psychotropic medications. She was also later treated for manic depressive psychosis. I just kind of threw that in there.
Okay.
So I did a little deep dive into TLE with psychosis, just to give us a little information. So psychosis with temporal lobe epilepsy, or TLE, stems from seizures happening in the hippocampus and the amygdala, which are the parts of the brain that interpret sound, religion, and like spiritual experiences and emotional reactions. So when these areas misfire, it can produce like distorted spiritual experiences that can oftentimes be mistaken for something like possession, especially within like these deeply religious people.
Yeah.
So common symptoms that occur with TLE are hearing voices, especially religious or commanding ones, seeing visions or distorted images, hyper religiosity, or a fixation on like personal morality, paranoia, or believing that others are trying to harm or control them, fear of possession or being controlled by an outside force, and emotional lability like laughing, crying, or raging unpredictably with no logical cause.
I mean,
So listen. Over several years, despite medical treatment for her TLE, Annalise developed auditory hallucinations, paranoia, and strong religious themes in her illusions. She eventually became intolerant of crosses and religious relics as well. She reportedly soon after began regularly drinking urine, eating insects, self-injuring, growling at crucifixes, and rejecting food and water, any drinks altogether.
oh, okay.
There was once reportedly an episode at home where her mom saw her eyes turn fully black while she was looking at a depiction of the Holy Mary hanging on their wall. She became irrationally angry, started throwing items with the intent to harm, and began to drink her own urine, which was the last straw for her parents, who then contacted a Catholic priest for advice. So this has been years by now.
Yeah, like she's had.
Because she had one episode per year, and otherwise she was okay. And then suddenly she's starting to have all of these other symptoms as well. So initially, the priest didn't think an exorcism was necessary and that all of her actions were due to her epilepsy with psychosis. Upon meeting her, he determined that it was not psychological, but instead a sign of spiritual warfare. Father Ernst Alt then wrote a letter to the bishop asking for approval of an exorcism on Annalise. And this request was approved, and Father Wilhelm Renz was appointed to assist him. So jump forward, Father Alt and Father Renz performed the first exorcism on August 3rd, 1975, when she was just 22 years old. Over the next 10 months, a total of 67 exorcisms were performed by the priests on her. And during those months, she was denied medical attention as it could be dangerous for anyone to enter the room that's not already involved.
67
67
exorcisms.
in 10 months. Sometimes they would do 2 or 3 a week. Just let that sit in.
I'm trying. I am trying so hard right now to let that sit because, like, this girl's 22 now. 67 exorcisms. And, I mean, with the timeline, one episode a year, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it changes to, like, multiple times. You could write that off as it's just getting worse.
So, during those 10 months, Annaliese existed without food or water, which further pushed the narrative of possession versus a result of her medical condition, because it was just not physically possible. Though the priests claimed that they never instructed her to fast, but that she rejected any sustenance that was offered to her. The priests claim that she was targeted by 6 different demons. Lucifer, Hitler, and Judas, just to name a few, because I'm not going to go into all of that. Because she was good, pure, and a devout Catholic, so they wanted to corrupt her and make her impure, basically. One of the 2 priests snuck a tape recorder into each of these 67 exorcisms, recording every single minute, and it is said that the demon supposedly spoke through the secret voice recordings. However, those recordings were released later on, and I will be playing a snippet of one of them right now so you can hear.
Oh my gosh.
This looks like it was the 7th exorcism. Are you ready?
Yeah.
That's the gist of it. Keep in mind, they are speaking German, although she did switch to Latin.
Yeah.
In a lot of those voice recordings.
But hear me out. If I tried right now, if you and me both tried to make that noise, would we be able to?
No.
No, you can't speak that way.
And
So
I will
I'm
note,
like,
I listened to a few, and in a few of them, she snaps back to talking like this, and she's talking normal, and she's got like a fairly calm, kind of collected voice, and then she swaps back to.
okay, see, that's what I'm saying is like,
I'm not laughing at her. I'm just
No.
laughing at myself.
at us. At us. Don't worry, guys. But like, it's just so. At first, I wanted to be like, I could play it off as it being her, mental, physical
Mhm.
state. But then hearing that and thinking, okay, can we make that noise? Can other girls make? Possibly. We can't do it right now. But like,
So the priests say that the final demon was officially released from her during the last exorcism on June 30th, 1976. And that the whole house just felt different. It was a shift in energy, and that's how they knew. Annaliese died on July 1st of 1976 from malnourishment, though they claim that she was only weak due to the physical trauma and stress from being possessed.
she didn't eat or drink anything.
The same year, the German authorities filed charges of negligence against Father Alt, Father Renz, and both of her parents. The local district attorney claimed that they denied sustenance and that she died from, and I quote, undernourishment and dehydration. Anna died at 23 years old, weighing only 66 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
In March of 1978, both parents and the priests were found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 6 months in jail. However, the sentence was later suspended, and they served 3 years each of probation instead. After her burial, Anna's remains were exhumed and reburied in early 1978. Her case is what influenced the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. I did want to watch it.
It was released on September 9th, 2005, and it's based on the true documented events of Annaliese's story, though it doesn't depict everything that she went through or the severity of her conditions. It's very dramatized, but it's not all accurate. Its intention when they created it was to defend the exorcism necessity claims and help persuade the public into believing that she was possessed and it was not a result of her medical conditions. Now, there are still uncertainties that even we don't know, but what it boils down to at the end of the day is science versus faith. What do you guys think? Personally, I think a lot of it tracks to her psychosis with temporal lobe epilepsy.
I feel like that made her a target, if I'm being honest. With her condition, I feel like even though she was a devoted Catholic, Christian, whatever her religion was, I feel like that's a part of the reason that she was so easy to target, is because her mind was so open.
Now, you know that I believe in spirits.
Yes.
And if you do or don't, whatever. Personally, I do. I believe in demonology and I believe in angels and I believe just whatever. The whole spirit world is so unknown and there's so much going on that we can't understand. But for this, I was very much, when I was researching, convinced that it was her medical condition. And I think I convinced myself that looking into the actual medical condition, because I summed it up as best as I could. I did not want to give a full 10-page essay on what this was. That last exorcism was done, what, a day or two before she died?
Mm-hmm.
At that stage, she's already 66 pounds. She is skin and bones at freshly 23 years old.
I would have sat there even though she refused to take that stuff, called a doctor, tried to figure out some way to like IV it up or, put that water into her mouth in a syringe if you have to.
She is depleted. She may be able to make them sounds.
Sure.
And so they kept her secluded in her bedroom for those 10 months. Can you imagine the psychological toll that takes?
It's just insane to me.
Being locked in your bedroom from the outside, being locked in your bedroom, only brought food that she just refused to eat, anything. So then you're mentally going a little insane. I mean, I would.
And if she didn't go anywhere, like if they're constantly doing these exorcisms, she's in her house, in her room, most likely, all day, every day. That's isolation, going through that. But then also, it's like, if you're stuck in one room, could you last for 10 months?
I could. Y'all have to lock me up. But even with her condition, she was already having hallucinations. There were auditory and visual hallucinations. So you see this priest coming in with his Bible, and he's got his other little priests behind him, and parents are scared at the door, like peeking in, kind of. I would be freaked out too.
Yeah.
Let's be so for real. Whether you got something going on with your brain or not, I would be a little worried. I don't know. Was Annaliese Michel truly possessed or failed by the very people who were supposed to help her?
And was Arnie Johnson acting under the influence of something evil or hiding behind it?
Science called it mental illness. Faith called it possession. But what do you believe?
Because when the line becomes reality and the paranormal blurs, even the truth can get lost in the dark.
Thanks for chasing midnight with us.
Night, night, love you.
Night, night, love you.